Hello, nice to meet you. This is Dr. Kim from Richgo.
Hello, this is Kim Gai-hoon from Richgo.
Today I would like to have a special interview with Kim Gai-hoon. I want to hear his thoughts on some personal curiosities and discuss real estate. First of all, you are operating and creating a platform called Richgo, which is a PropTech app. This is about aggregating data to provide information, and it is based on big data after all. Was there a specific reason that led you to become interested in big data?
Yes. To talk about this, I think it would be good to first share how I got into real estate. Most people, especially those starting their careers, can't avoid financial management. Right. What do they usually get into first? In my experience, I also started with real estate first, with small investments. Oh, I see. But usually, people tend to invest in stocks because they dislike real estate, right? That's right. The reason is that there is no financial burden. So I also became interested in stocks, studied hard, and delved into it. But I noticed that there seems to be no one around who has been successful in the stock market. In the medium to long term, there is no one, absolutely no one. It's true, you can make some money for a short period, but I've never seen anyone who, after 5-10 years of making money in stocks, can say that they built their wealth through stocks when they are 60, 70, or 80 years old. I've only seen the opposite. I have seen many people who have lost money in stocks, and now I see it. So, who is the real manager? I have seen who the real managers are and what assets they have. It's real estate.
Especially in South Korea, real estate?
Yes.
That's right.
And now it's like this. There are really ordinary people around. You know, there are experts in stocks, but can I really compete and win against those people? In the stock market, you have to fight against such individuals.
That's right.
And we have to compete against supercomputers, right? We have to compete against the latest AI, right?
We are nothing more than ants, and it is not easy.
You absolutely can't win by fighting. But what about real estate? I've seen people making money in real estate and continuing to do well, and I feel like I could do it just like them. In real estate, your competition isn't the best brains in the world. It's not artificial intelligence. So I decided that I need to get into real estate before it's too late. Many books talk about this, but it's not just about working hard. What's more important is what field I'm in and who I'm working with. Those factors are much more crucial. For now, I've set aside stocks because I realize there's nothing I want in that area. It's mostly just luck. However, real estate is different. So, I started to study real estate in depth. But my basic disposition is that I am very positive. I tend to be very positive and always think optimistically. Because of this, when someone says something good, I become all ears and ask, is this just for you to know? Is this stock going to skyrocket? You know, things like that. You've had experiences like this, right? Many, right? But what happened? They all just crashed, didn't they? So, now that I'm aware of my shortcomings, I thought to myself, let's just close my ears and shut my eyes and focus on studying. Because most people are like this. When we invest, are there really many people who study and invest, or are there more who just do it?
There are many people that do it. Most often, they hear it from others and get intrigued.
So I have already tried that in the stock market. Therefore, I absolutely did not want to do the same in real estate. And life is not long. It's short, shorter than I expected. I wanted to avoid failures, or at least not have any catastrophic failures in the real estate industry. So I decided to start studying. And for about 3 to 4 years, I listened to a tremendous number of real estate books and lectures like crazy. So, at that time, I really tried it only through lectures and ended up spending over 50 million won on books and lectures. At that time, my annual salary was quite high, so it was manageable. So I studied like crazy for about 3 to 4 years. And that was around 2015. When I was almost done studying, I realized that I had been studying a lot. In fact, I think I studied as hard as I did in high school to get into a good university. I was desperately crazy about it, whether it was a weekday evening or the weekend. I was really, really desperate. Why? I really didn't want to fail again. So I studied like crazy. Did I find the answer? I couldn't find the answer because, just like with stocks, what is the most important thing in stock investment? Isn't it all about which stock to buy, when to buy it, and when to sell it? Right. Selecting stock items and timing for buying and selling is the most important thing. It's the same for real estate. It's the same for real estate. So, how will you purchase? Will you buy at a lower price through auctions, or will you analyze the area to see which regions are good for redevelopment? It's all the same. Redevelopment is redevelopment. The key question is when you will buy and which area you will invest in. That's right, isn't it? And when will you sell? That's right. I realized that this is the most important thing. So back then, since I didn't know much, I tried to get close to people who gave real estate lectures. I bought them meals and drinks and asked them questions. I became friends with them to find out where I should invest now. Then everyone was saying the same thing. They were only talking about where development is currently happening and where subway stations are being built. I have experienced this. In terms of stocks, it's like you are the only one who knows. Is this company going to be the same as it is now? In the future? It's the same. The logic is the same. Stocks and real estate are the same. Of course, it could be that way because it's real. But I didn't want to stake my fate on something like that. It's just like this. To succeed, a person's character is important, but so are their abilities. Physical strength is also important, as well as their personality. Patience is extremely important. It's the same when our Richgo looks at men. They don't just focus on money. They don't just look at appearances.
I only see love. Anticipating the aftermath during last week's broadcast, I only see love.
It seems like you are currently watching this on a public broadcast, right? So, real estate is like that too. There are various factors, A, B, C, D, E, that affect real estate in that area. Positive developments are one of those factors, such as the opening of a subway line. This is just one among many things. However, I noticed that there was something that no real estate expert was talking about. Do you know what that is?
When are you living? No, that's not it.
No one talks about where things are undervalued and where they are overvalued. For example, in the stock market, regardless of whether we are right or wrong, we discuss metrics like the price-to-earnings ratio, PE, which compares the company's earnings to its stock price, and the price-to-book ratio, PB, which compares the stock price to the company's net assets. We also look at the price-to-sales ratio, PS, which compares the stock price to the company's revenue, and sometimes even delve into more complex metrics like EBITDA. Looking at this, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, what is the difference in investment between those who invest based on this and those who do not? Those who invest based on this at least won't face delisting, right? So, you invest by looking at the value of the company to avoid being delisted, right? But what about those who invest without considering even this? Have you ever experienced being delisted while investing in stocks?
I managed to avoid a trophy, but I didn't study stocks well enough to understand the company's value. However, I did experience some setbacks. I didn't see the trophy.
It seems similar, a bit, better than a stock, delisting.
Almost at the same level.
I also see people around me who are getting delisted from the stock market.
There was...
Yes, there is. It's because they don't even look at those transformative indicators that they do all those things. So, I had this thought. It's really fascinating. There are countless people who claim to be real estate experts and give lectures on real estate in South Korea, and I've attended almost all of their lectures. No one talks about such things. Why? It's important to determine how overvalued or undervalued various data that affects real estate prices is. So, I fell into a lot of deep thought from that point on. I spent so much money and studied so hard, yet there were no answers. I want to create a decision-making process with principles that ensure I won't fail again. At that time, I looked into many resources, attended lectures by those who teach data-related topics, but they were all at a very basic level. It's just basic level data, like the amount of available units. And price data, this is what we call big data. So, I started to think about the fact that I majored in mathematics and computer science. Oh, should I just create this myself? So, starting from January 2016, I made Richgo on my own.
Did you create Richgo by yourself instead of gathering IT experts? No.
Alone. Why? Because I was so desperate. Truly, making good decisions is a wrong decision. So, if we talk about stocks, at the very least, you shouldn't get delisted. Right. But are there many people who have been delisted in real estate or not? What are those people who over-leveraged themselves with commercial real estate like apartments and ended up making mistakes doing now? Real estate is coming up for auction, right? How many auction properties are there now? In July 2024, the real estate market in Seoul is heating up, and there are more auction properties than at any time in the last 10 years. The stock market has its own ups and downs, and in the real estate market, those ups and downs are represented by auctions. At the very least, I shouldn't be in a position where my real estate investment ends up in an auction. That would ruin my life. So I thought, I need to create something for myself since no one else is doing it. I researched my own principles to avoid failure in the real estate market and to not end up in an auction. Even back then, when I was working at a company, I was earning around 300 to 400 million won a year.
So I invested nearly 200 million won of my own money to continue developing this. When did you first introduce and create Richgo on your own?
It was in 2016 that I created it. Since I couldn't do it alone, I explored various methods, and I met the founding members. In early 2017, together, we continued to develop Richgo.
Actually, I mentioned this before meeting you in person, but I have the book on big data investment that you wrote, Kim Gi-hoon. However, from the perspective of someone studying data and having read various real estate books, I have observed this. There was also talk about flower investments, and I thought this person has a deep interpretation of big data. Could you please introduce the book? I am very interested.
I found it interesting. Not long ago, my first book, Big Data Real Estate Investment, which was based on data from the end of 2017, was published in early February 2018. After reading this book, someone mentioned that they couldn't sleep. Looking back now, they wondered how I was able to predict things so accurately. If there are any of you who haven't seen it, please take a moment to read it. In that book, I mentioned that I have published 3 books, one in 2018, one in 2021, and one in 2022, but I haven't been able to write a book in 2023 or 2024 yet.
Do you have plans to write a book in the future?
I have a plan. I think my 4th book will probably be published sometime in 2024. Is that right now?
No.
In 2025, next year, I am quite busy at the moment, and due to some artificial rebounds created by the government, I believe that when the time comes, where my forecasts align more clearly with reality, I plan to write my 4th book. My first book was on big data. The second book was about the 2021 outlook, and the third book was the 2023 outlook. So, I don't intend to title my future books in this way anymore. Why?
What will you do?
You've included a lot of big data, right? The book itself looks a bit heavy.
It looks heavy.
So now I understand. People think that since I major in math and computer science, I must like these things, but most people don't really like them.
Did you not like the cover?
No, the title. So I'm thinking of a title that is not so rigid, but something that can resonate with people's emotions and tell a story. In the last 3 books, I made some forecasts, and here you can see that I have made predictions for all 17 cities and provinces of South Korea. What did I write about Seoul? Please read it.
Yes, it is an undervalued area and the supply of new housing is concentrated in a specific district, so a steady upward trend is expected.
Yes, was I right? What did you say, Daejeon?
Yes, it is a relatively undervalued area and other data is also favorable, so a steady upward trend is expected.
Yes, and all the way to Jeonnam. So, in terms of data, all 3 places were very good. I predicted everything, including personality data, ability data, and physical fitness data is so good here. It is bound to rise. And what if we had bought in this area? It would have been great, right? But at that time, it was around the waist level. The rising waist. It's okay to buy at the rising waist. A declining waist can be risky, but an increasing waist is different. Kim Gi-ho said to buy at that time. Now he is saying it is risky. Then, what about Ulsan, Busan, Gyeongnam, Gyeongbuk, Gangwon, Jeonbuk, Jeju, and Chungbuk? What did he say about these? Please read Ulsan.
You have already mentioned this. The area is quite overvalued, with several data points not looking good and a high volume of new housing supply, so further declines are expected. This is the data you extracted before Ulsan experiences a more significant drop.
So, Ulsan, Busan, Gyeongnam, Gyeongbuk, Gangwon, Jeonbuk, Jeju, and Chungbuk all fell. The places that were said to rise based on the data all went up, and the places that were said to fall all went down. This was predicted accurately. Since you mentioned that you've read real estate books, I want to clarify that I'm not saying this to boast about myself. No expert or individual in South Korea can make different forecasts based on regions. They all just talk about the same things. In Seoul, we only talk about Seoul. But when you look at actual data and facts, there are times when the real estate market in provinces is good, and there are times when the real estate market in the metropolitan area is good. If you can switch wisely between them, you can make a tremendous amount of money. One of the reasons I became fascinated with big data is that it allows for different forecasts based on regions. These different forecasts are based on various data that affect each area, which is a key distinction between general real estate experts and Kim Gi-hoon. If you look for books on real estate in South Korea, you will find that there is not a single book that provides different forecasts by region, except for Dr. Kim's Big Data Real Estate Investment.
Will you be providing data analysis by region for the internal report in the future?
I'm thinking about it. I'm in the middle of some contemplation. I might be able to do it that way, or I might not. And I'm currently living like this. Let's talk about this a bit later. So, conveying the whole story through big data is really accurate.
Many people, including myself, are aware that statistical errors can certainly occur. And if I only extract the data I want, it can lead to incorrect results. And errors in the data will definitely occur. In that regard, what kinds of errors can occur, and what errors are there?
I need to explain this. While looking at the data, this is a chart of apartment sales prices in Seoul. What this is the KB Real Estate Index statistical data. So, looking at this, how would it have been if you just held on to an apartment no matter when the prices dropped? Looking at this, it seems like there isn't much of a decline, right? However, as I've mentioned several times, you shouldn't trust this. You should trust the direction, but it really doesn't reflect the extent of the increases and decreases. Now let's take a look at this. Let's check the rate of change. I'll show you how many times the price of apartments in Seoul has increased. So, what was the price in January 1986? Right now it's 90.7. How much has it increased? About 78%, which means it has gone up by 614%. So, if the apartment was worth 100 million won in 1986, and it has increased by 614%, it would be just over 700 million won now. Is that correct or not? Right. Wrong? Not right. That's not right. You answered too mechanically. It seems like you just answered without thinking. Before the 1990s, and around the time of the IMF crisis, a typical apartment was only about 100 million won, but how much is it now? It has risen several tens of times. The direction is somewhat better, but it does not reflect the extent of the rise and fall at all. I have the Korea Real Estate Agency's Actual Transaction Price Index, which is said to be the most accurate index. This has been available since 2006, when actual transaction prices were made public starting from 2001. Let me show you this. Let's take a look from 2006 and see how much the difference is. This is the KB Real Estate Index statistics. How many times has it risen? It went up 100%, 101%. How much did Korea Real Price Index increase? 176%. Huge difference. If something worth 100 million won is 200 million won, it has increased by 176%. So it is now 260 million won, quite a difference.
The statistical data that many people trust when investing are the Korean real estate data and the KB index. Why is there such a significant difference between these two sets of statistical data?
There is a significant difference. I don't know why this is the case, and I don't understand why the statistical data was created this way, but it doesn't properly reflect the fluctuations in rises and falls at all. For example, look at this point. In October 2021, I had a rare selling opportunity that happens only once in 10 years, and that was exactly the peak. At that time, it went from 224 to 189. But do you know what the lowest point was? It's 140. The drop is quite significant, but how does the drop look here? It seems very small, right? So, people talk about the market based on this. There are really many errors in the KB real estate statistics, or the Haeangpo real estate statistics. With this kind of information, they say that if you just hold on to real estate in the current market, it will keep making money. Even now, there are still many areas in Seoul that haven't recovered their prices. Right now, there are many people who have taken out loans from places like Nodogwang and are in serious situations. There are really a lot of people discussing the real estate market without even properly understanding these statistics. Additionally, one of the particularly erroneous statistics is the unsold inventory data. What this unsold inventory data means is that construction companies or developers only report what they want. They don't verify whether the unsold inventory is reported correctly. They simply rely on what is provided to them to compile the unsold inventory statistics. What do unsold inventory statistics show? They say the actual number of unsold properties is over 9 times higher. Therefore, we need to be fully aware that there are some errors like this, but many people really do not know about them.
However, the speed at which data is reflected is also slow. Currently, we are looking at events that happened a few months ago, several months later, so I think the timing for observing real estate trends might not align well.
That's right. Typically, the usual statistical data is slow, ranging from 2 to 3 months at the shortest and up to 7 or 8 months at the longest compared to reality. As a result, data reflects reality slowly, leading to discussions like, what about real estate investment?
I also think there are definitely some limitations in utilizing them. Anyway, you will be looking at statistics from organizations like the Korea Appraisal Board and KB, right? How do you make use of those delayed reflections and errors?
There may be slight issues, but there are no major problems in actually buying, selling, and utilizing real estate. So here's the thing. Many experts say this, regardless of the field of investment, buy low to sell high. Isn't that the essence of being a skilled investor, right? No matter how slow it is, even slow statistical data can accomplish this much. It can be done sufficiently. And why do you think I created Richgo?
You are trying to invest directly to avoid failure.
That's correct.
You made investment
I have done a lot.
using Richgo.
Of course, I have been investing using Richgo since 2016.
Did you start right then?
In June 2016, a lack of data on move-ins and other metrics. Now a perfect score of 100 out of 100. A perfect score of 100 out of 100. I have invested in real estate in the range of 1 or 2 digits. 2 digits. I have not had a single failure with any property. There are really many people, even experts, who are struggling with issues like reverse rental markets, but they are too embarrassed to talk about it. I didn't have a single property. The investment checklist 2.0 has been updated this time, so you can enter the coupon for the wish book. Additionally, since the era of auctions is coming, we have made it possible for you to experience auctions for free. You can enter the wish auction for that. Now, how do you register the coupon? If you go here, you will find My on the homepage of Richgo. If you go there, you can do it. Let me open Richgo and explain it a bit. Is this event only happening for a month? Now, if you enter the Richgo home, the PC screen and the app look similar. Here you will find the profile section. Click on the profile and it will appear. From here, you can see auction products, and there is an option to enter a coupon. Alternatively, you can enter the coupon code for membership coupons here. So you can check the investment options and enter Guyon check for the investment check. And for the auction experience, you can enter Guyon auction. I will also put this in a pinned comment, so please try it out. It will be very helpful for your real estate decision making.